Hiya, Cop. Just in time. I've got kettle on. Do you want a brew?
Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. Or if we...
There's a picture of me after I've completed the 150 mile and I'm stuck in San Pedro and I've got my medal around my neck and I've got a beer in my hand and I've just had a pizza. And on my face it's totally devoid of any emotion. How could I have done 150 miles through a desert at 54-year-old? Somebody, you know, like who's abused his body for 30 odd years, you know, taking speed and drinking and drugs. And I've suddenly done 150 miles. And then also I thought, I've met enough people in my past who suffer from the same addiction as me, from all walks of life. You know, I really want to see if I can give some people hope, a bit of hope. You know, for me, alcoholism is something I'll carry and I'll take to the grave. And I've not professed it in my book that I'm cured. And I've never said it on a radio interview or in papers, because I'm not. You know what I mean? But I'm not like I used to be. I think the skinheads became my family. I had a sense of belonging. I was with a family, be it on the streets. They were happy to see me, whereas at home, as kids, you know, we were just Saturday night piss-ups. Fashion was always changing. People moved on. And I was still there being a skinhead. I didn't know how to move on, you know what I mean? And I didn't know how to take away all the demons in my head and all the mental scars I had as a kid. So when I did start to drink, it took them all away. They call it Dutch courage. I could suddenly go up and talk to someone and interact. The doctor turned around and said he couldn't sign me on as an alky anymore because there's not many active alcoholics who've run a desert marathon. Plus, I mean, that's only Atacama. I've done the Great North Run twice. I've done Blackpool Marathon. You know what I mean? All these marathons that I've done and running in the morning and training at the gym. I don't drink cider anymore. I don't drink special brew anymore. I'll drink lager when I go on it.
They tried to make me go to rehab. I said no, no, no. Yes, I've been black, but when I come back, no, no, no. I ain't got the time, and if my daddy thinks I'm fine, they try to make me go to rehab. I won't go.
The greatest affirmation that I'd ever heard was from that boxer Muhammad Ali. And he said, and I keep this in my mind, he said, I was born to be great. He said, if I hadn't been a boxer, if I'd have been a bin man, I'd have been the greatest bin man in New York City. I'd have emptied more bins than anyone. And that is a good thing to have in your spirit. Because there's one thing you don't want, one thing I don't want, I'm sure a lot of people don't want it, is somebody who's stood there, who's suffering the same as you and says, I've got it, I've done it now. Because you think, well, bloody clever you. I can't do it though, but we can get there, we can get there together. Hope. I have a goal, to be happy, to smell the roses, to be content within myself, you know, looking all the time. And for me, the crutch that I needed was running. But that won't be everybody's cup of tea. It doesn't have to be. First of all, if you've been fed negatives all your life and you've had a bad upbringing and that, and it's left you mentally scarred, you've got to look that you are unique on this earth. I am unique. There's no other Billy Isherwood. There'll never be one after me. So I've got to make the best of Billy Isherwood while he's here.
when Kate sent me an email inviting me to come and do a talk, I automatically said yes, because that's my nature. I'm an impulsive creature. And I said, yeah, I'll come and do a talk. And then I did some research on Endurancelife. And I thought to myself, bloody hell, what have I let myself in for? You know what I mean? And being the kind of person that I am, I looked up the word endurance, which means one who can withstand hardship and pain. And I thought, well, I qualify for that. In order to go into the Atacama and the running, I must go back a little bit and just quickly tell you about my life. I was born in the mill town of Falmouth in 1950. One of 9 children. I was born into a home that knew nothing but extreme poverty, violence and abuse. And for 14 years, we were kept prisoners in our house. We weren't allowed out at all to play. And I knew something deep inside me was burning, that when I did finally leave home, I was going to cream life for all it was worth, and which I did. I started to cream life. The great Groucho Marx was once invited to be a honorary member of a certain golf club in Palm Springs, and he wrote back and said that he wouldn't wish to be a member of any club that would have him as a honorary member. I can relate to that. I mean, Billy Isherwood. Yeah, so I'll go to my life. When I didn't finally manage to escape, me and my brother run down to Newquay in Cornwall and run away from home. And it was just coming to the end of the hippie era. And I'd never seen surfboards and skateboards. I mean, when I went as far as Blackpool, that was it. So being the end of the hippie era, drugs were on the scene. I mean, Roy went along and, you know, tried drinking and the drugs and the peace, love, man and free love. I was up for the free love bit. I was up for anything actually. And my life kind of took off on a party of drinking and taking drugs. We used to go to a place in Moss Side in Manchester to score grass, and it was a kind of elite drinking dens. I told you I went the wrong gig. It was a kind of drinking dens where you knock on the door and they open, you know, they slide the hatch away and you're hit by the grass and Bob Marley, you know, and you go inside there and we'd score the drugs and drink and dance along to Bob Marley, and this went on for years. I held jobs and I did stuff like that. I travelled, I worked over in the Champagne regions of Bordeaux in Crete. I picked oranges and olives, in France, then I picked olives and oranges in Crete. I worked in Switzerland, in Zermatt. I used to have a pass, so when everybody were queuing up to get the ski lifts, I could walk by, show them the pass, you know what I mean? And the night time, he said, I remember saying, what time's the ski lift down? I said, you don't catch it down, you ski. I mean, I'm from a mill town, you know, the only thing we did was bin lid skinning. Well, they taught me how to ski, so I skied. And this was pretty much how my life was when I was a young lad. I was just partying and enjoying myself. Little did I know that this kind of lifestyle, you know, had a price to pay, and the bill was on the way, even though it was 30 years in coming, which resulted really in the end where I was kind of messed up with all the drinks and the drugs. And I won't go into all the, like I said, I think I'm at wrong gig. But there was nothing left. I've been round, I've been into all the rehabs, I've been into all the drying out clinics, and there was just no answer. I've seen the finest doctors in the world, you know. One doctor turned around and said to me, like, you know, do you hear voices? I said, I can hear yours, you know. I've been diagnosed with bipolar and all kinds of things, you know what I mean? The last thing that came to me was I was held down in a cardiac unit where, by these nurses, where the doctor was injecting my body with some form of fluid. to thin the blood. And he said to me, you know, we nearly lost you there, Billy, you know, you nearly died. Well, I was dead inside, and I thought it would have been good if you'd have just left me, because that's how it was, you know, inside. I was dead, there was no answer. But I carried on with life, because I come from Lancashire, you've got to get on with it. That's how we think, you know, there's a saying round our way, you know, it's not the man in the fight, it's the fight in the man. It's not the man in the race, it's the race in the man, you know, you just have to get on with it, you know what I mean, so endurance. I was pretty kind of used to endurance, and I know we haven't got much time, so I am going to move forward. It's all in my book, by the way, if you want to read about the skinheads and all that. I'm Bolton one today. I was living in Whitby, and I was walking by this travel agents, and I saw this sign saying 2 for 1 holiday in Crete. Well, I worked there twice, and I thought, oh, I'm up for a bit of that, go over to Crete. So I went in and I booked it straight away. And that night, when I came out of the shower, I had a look at my, because I'm a bit vain, and I thought I've got to lose a bit of weight, I've got a bit of a beer gut here. Now, I have never had any desire at all in my life to run or to go to a gym. My mate once turned around and asked me to meet him outside this gym to go to the pub at 12 o'clock. And at 12:05, I'm kicking bloody door stalls, you know what I mean? Where is he? So I had to go inside the gym, and it just looked like a torture chamber. You know, I could hear men, you know, go on. I could see people on treadmills, sweating, heavy breathing. I thought we were going to have an orgasm. You know, and I turned around and I said, why do you put yourself through that? You know, just take your time. You know, why do you want to go out? And, you know, and you look like you're all dying, you know. But anyhow, I just thought that people who did stuff like that weren't right in head. I really did. I'm being honest. The book's honest. But anyhow, I'll go back to where I thought I've got to lose a bit of weight now. Just down the road from us in Whitby is a gym. And I found myself going to it. And I walked inside and I saw this lady called Claire Fowler. She's a PT instructor. And I said, look, I just want to, you know, join the gym and lose a bit of weight. So she did all the blood pressure and took me through all this and that. And I was looking at the men in the corner picking these huge buildings up. And people running. And I said, look, I don't want any of that. I said, I just, you know, lose a bit of weight, you know, just do a little bit of running. So she said, well, we'll try you on treadmill for 20 minutes and we'll try you on cross-trainer and see how you do. Well, I did 5 minutes. She put it on something like 4. And she says, we really need to get you to about 5 or 6 so you can keep pressing this button and increase the speed. Well, I did press it, but I decreased it. I didn't increase it. I managed 5 minutes on the treadmill and I managed 5 minutes on the cross trainer, and I was breathless at the reception, you know what I mean? And she said, oh, you'll be all right, come back tomorrow. Well, you know, we'll sort you out. I thought, oh, yeah, right, I'm off to the pub. I thought, that just confirms what I thought all the time, people are just not right. But I told Bridget, my partner, that I joined the gym, so I had to carry it through. So I did go on. She turned around and said to me the next day, are you going today? I went, no, they've told me I need 3 days off. I lied. I've got to like rest my bones, you know. It doesn't do you good to start too quick. So I'm all right for time yet. But I did go back, and she planted a seed in my mind. She said, look, forget the 20 minutes, try 6 minutes. Well, that made it easier. I thought, well, that's all right, a minute. You know, I'll go for that. So I did 6 minutes on that and 6 minutes on the cross trainer. And then I went back next day and I did 7 minutes, blah, 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 blah. Before I realised it, I was doing an hour. And I was running and I was enjoying it. And I used to think people who ran were a slate short, and I thought, bloody hell, look at me. You know, and not only that, I was timing myself. You know what I mean? And I was, because against you had done it. You know what I mean? I was timing myself and I was pouring it up, you know, she said, get your cardiac vascular going. So I banged it up to 60. Keep it going for a minute. You know, and then I'll be there, then I'll put it down like, get your Tie yourself on your ankles down. Eventually she turned around and she says to me, look, she says, you're going to burn that machine out, you want to get on road, you want to start running. So I did. I thought, right. Now if anybody's been to Whitby, there's a place called Sands End. Now Whitby is very good to run because it's got everything with it. It's got hills, lots of bloody hills. You can be in the countryside, it's got the beach, you know. It's just a lovely training ground. And I remember one day I thought, right, I'll go and run to Sands End. I timed it in the car. It was like 3 miles there, 3 miles back. But it's uphill coming back. But I did it. But on one particular run, as I'm running down, there's 2 ladies coming in my direction. And one of them was a nurse that used to dry me out. And she looked at me like, you know, he's definitely lost the plot. You know, is that you, Billy? I said, yeah, I'm running now. Excuse me, it's Warsaw, by the way. And she says, oh, you're finding it? I said, I'm enjoying it. She says, well, you want to book a marathon? There's a marathon coming up. Why don't you book a marathon? Hang on a minute. You know, she said, no. She says, you've got plenty of time. She says, you know, it don't start for another 3 months. I said, what's it called? She said, Robin Hood Experience. So I went home and I said to my partner, Bridget, I said, there's a marathon coming up. I said, I fancy me chancing my arm on that. Book it us. So she booked it me. So I started to train to do this marathon. The day I know, I can see myself. I don't smoke much, but I do smoke, but I don't smoke much. And I got up to 19 mile of running. I haven't done the 26, but I got up to 19 mile of running. And we set off that morning to Sheffield. And we stopped off. By this time, it was up about 3 o'clock. I had about 4 fights outside. And she's packing my gear. And we got into the car. And she said, we'll stop off at Sheffield and have some breakfast, you know, before we get there. And which we did. We pulled up at M1. And I said, oh no, I don't want any breakfast. I've had some peanuts. So I'll just have a fag. Went outside for a cigarette. And then we pulled up. And it's my very first time. I've never seen anything like it in my life. There was a massive park. And there was all these tents and everything, you know, and there was people oiling the legs. And then, by the way, I'm not belittling anyone at all. I really am not, you know. But it was a culture shock to me. I mean, you know, from Shabeens to running. And they were oiling the legs and you could go and have a massage and that. And I'm stood in middle smoking a cigarette. And there were people walking by me, looking at me like I just weed through the letterbox, knocked on door. And asked them how far that went. You know, and I said to Bridget, I'm just being myself. You know, I'm just being me, you know. I don't say anything serious, I'm just being me, I'm having a fag. You know what I mean? And then we started off. Now I knew there was a hill halfway around the marathon, I knew there was a hill. So I banged my iPod off and the kicked off. I'm right at the back, so I'm wondering 10 minutes later while I'm still stood there. Then it started and we started to go, you know, and I put the music on, a bit of Tamla Water and I'm running away. And 6, and I don't like to look at the markers. I like to go into a world of my own, and I have invented all kinds of characters. I mean, if the doctors could really get me inside my head, I'd be sectioned. I really would. I had like trainers inside my head. I had Captain Picard. He was there, how's he doing? Oh, he's doing all right, you know what I mean? His legs are all right, but warp him up a bit, you know what I mean? So, and that's what I'll be doing in my head. Anything to keep my mind off what we're doing. And I would have pit stops, pull him in for a pit stop. He's going a bit too fast, and I would imagine that I was laying on the grass, you know, being like massaged by these lovely blondes, you know, and orange juice going down neck. You know, right, that's it, get him on. And I go running again, you know what I mean? And the only thing I had in my mind when I did the Nottingham Marathon was to get the medal. The rest was the bit in between. The medal was my goal. That's all I had in my mind to get that medal. We get past the 13-mile marker and there's all these coals in the middle of the road, and I said to Bridget, I said to this bloke, oh, we're halfway there. And I was feeling good. Captain Picard had done a body check on me. Oh, you're all right, you've done 13, you know, and I'm going away there, everything's going steady. And I said, we're halfway there, and this bloke said, not me, I did it last year. he said, I did it last year, he said, I'm going to do it half. Well, I didn't know that. I thought a marathon meant a full marathon. So I hadn't read it properly, you know what I mean? So when we got, that's what the cones were for. I thought the cones were for the emergency vehicles, but they weren't. Those who were doing half went to the left, and those who were doing full went to right. Well, I was the only one that turned right. I thought, oh, bloody hell, Billy. You've got it here, son. Look at you. Written off, I'm only one. I got around the corner, my partner's there waiting. I did a little bit of a dance, kissed her on the cheek. I said, has anybody gone by? She went, loads. So I need you. but I carried on, you know what I mean? And then I saw someone in front of me, a little dot in the distance, and I saw someone. I thought, a challenge, I've got to overtake whoever it is in front of me, because I'm like that. You know what I mean? So Captain Pickard had a word, and he checked with all the rest of the crew. Is he up for it? And they went, yeah, we reckon we can turn him up a little bit. All right, walk 6 him then. So they walked 6 me. Turn that music. I think he ain't heavy, my brother. We don't want that on. So I'm flicking through my iPod. Get a bit of Rolling Stones on, Jumping Jack Flash. That'll get him going. You know, because I run with my music, I really do. And so I'm going through the music, my iPod, and dum, dum, da, 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 come on, you book of work, are you? So I'm off getting this bloke. And I overtook him, and then I saw someone else, overtook him. And eventually, I did the Nottingham Marathon. I was on such a high, I couldn't believe it. You know, I got a medal. You know what I mean? Everything in my past, I suddenly found something that I felt worthy about. Because, I mean, at school I was in the lowest stream possible. I was called up. I was the kind of person that had to carry the goalposts out. I was the one who had to clean the sweeping, you know, the changing rooms up and all that lot. But I did that. And then I did the Great North Run, I did that, you know, and my mates were phoning me up and were saying, you know, do you want us to come through and have a talk with you? I've heard you running now. I said, hey, don't knock it. It's all right. I said, it releases these endorphins or whatever they're called. You know what I mean? I said, when I finish one, I'm on an high, mate. You know, I said, you can't believe it. And I was getting up at 4 every morning, you know, going for a run, putting my music on, you know, and really enjoying it and what have you. And I did about 2 or 3 marathons, and then one night, me and Bridget watched this documentary, and it was on the Atacama. And I said to Bridget, I'm going to do that. Just hang on a minute. Yeah, I'm all right. I said, I'm going to do that. So I signed up for the Atacama Desert Marathon. And they wrote to me and they said, can you send us a CV? And I said to Bridget, what's a CV? And she said, well, do you want to know what you've done? You know, a bit about yourself. So I just wrote back, well, I think I was 53, 54. So I'm 54-year-old and I've been an alcoholic for 30 years. And I just sent it off. So they wrote back and they said to me, well, you're going to have to get a medical from your doctor. Well, I'd already done 2 marathons and my doctor was astounded. I think the bugger wanted me to die. You know, give me a bit of credit, like. And he said, well, you know, yeah, you've done 2 marathons. That was my feet, by the way. Yeah, you've done 2 marathons. So he signed it, so I sent my deposit off. And they wrote back to me and said, thank you, Billy, we'll see you, you know, in the desert, something like that. And I wrote back and said, oh, can I bring my bucket and spade? And they wrote back, it was like tennis. And they wrote back and they said, we won't be taking this serious, Mr. Isherwood. And I wrote back and said, I never took anything serious in my life. Which I haven't. How are we doing?
You've got 7 minutes.
7 minutes. I never took anything serious in my life, and it isn't it funny. I'm a kind of Peter Cage, but what have you, you know. So they invited me to blog, and which I did, and I was doing all right. I suddenly found out that, you know, I had a bit of a talent for writing, and I started to blog, and I also started to read about these other people who were doing blogs, who were doing the training. I thought, I'm not even up to the standard of running, you know. I took on more than I can chew, but I'd already decided I was going to do it, so I'm going to do it. I landed in, oh, by the way, I got my post took off me at Madrid airport. I just took my bike. Somebody in America has said, just take your backpack and don't put it in the hold all, because if it goes missing, you won't be able to run. So I took it, and I managed to get to it wasn't Heathrow, it was the other airport in London, with one walking pole. She said, just take one, because it works the same as two, so I took one, and I got through. When I got to Madrid, they took it off me, and I'm trying to turn around and say, I'm doing a marathon. I was thinking I was being real good at Union Jack. Oh, I'm doing a marathon, you know, international marathon at Atacama Desert. I need that, it's my walking pole. And this police officer said it could be used as a weapon, that. And I just felt like sticking nuts on him and saying, well, so can this, you know. But they took it off me, the buggers, you know, so I didn't have it. And when I got to Chile, this American, and there were little angels turning around and said, hey, Billy, is this, I mean, I'm a Lancashire lad, is this the first time you've done you've been to the Atacama, you've done a desert marathon? And I went, no, you used to come every boat holiday with me and family. Know this place like back in my hand. And she swallowed it as well. I said, no, I've never done a desert marathon. And then I started to suffer on the very first day, altitude sickness. I'm the kind of person who I don't like to read anything. You know, like when you're at work, I don't want to know what I'm doing tomorrow, because I won't sleep night before, if they tell me. I said, live each day as it comes. So, and anyway, I started to suffer from altitude sickness, and on the very first morning before we was took out to the desert, I went for a shower, and I was sharing this room with this other bloke, and I fell over, I keeled. I thought I was on LSD again. I was spaced out of my head. And I just went and I grabbed everything, and I fell, and I banged on my back, and I just lay there and I'm thinking, have I done myself an injury? If, you know, am I wasted before I can do with it? And he knocked on the door, and there's some naughty people, I was going to say another word, because he turned around and said, what's happened? I said, I just fell over and I've done my back in. I went all dizzy. He said, does that mean I can't have a shower? I said, well, hang on a minute and I'll give you one. I met this American, I went for a walk and I met this American, and he turned and he said to me, look Billy, he says, you want to try some of that cocoa tea? He said, that's what you need, but don't drink too much, because you're running like in Motor Papillon, you know, the escape from New Guinea. You know what I mean? Just take a couple, it'll settle you down. So I walked around town all spaced out, and then the next day they took us out to the desert, and the doctor examined me and he said, your heart's pounding, you know, you're disorientated, blah, 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 blah. He said, if you like this tomorrow, I'm sorry, but you're not going to take, I'm not going to be able to pass you. I said, are you effing mad? I said, I've not come all this way for you to turn around and just because I'm a little bit disorientated. I said, I've been disorientated all my life. Don't do with me this. I said, I'll be reet, you know what I mean? Just, get me up there. In which they did. We got assigned to tents, and I was the oldest one in the tent, and I turned around and said, I'm having that front entrance, because I'll be last one in. You know what I mean? That's where I want to be. And I ran every night on my own. Every night on my own. How do you explain that? People have probably done it. I can't explain it. They turned around and said that at 6 o'clock night time falls and plummets and the temperature changes, so you had to make sure that you had all the equipment you needed in your backpack at the top, you know, your headlight and your thermal. And I'm running along listening to like the Tams or Iceland Brothers, and it happened just like that. Bloody freezing, dark as anything. I put my thing, carried on running. And I get to the tent, and it's like you don't want to disturb anyone. So I was like, that was it. And they're all snoring. And I got in my tent and I couldn't get warm. It was absolutely freezing, I couldn't get warm. Second day, same thing happened again, on my own. Third day, I become animalistic. I couldn't give a toss. You know what I mean? I wasn't eating well, I wasn't sleeping well. I opened the door, I said, I don't give a... If you missed that, I'm not saying it again. I said, I don't care. I said, you're always asleep, you. And I just do this. Tough out there today, hey, Billy? I said, how is it you're always asleep? It's bloody freezing. You know what I mean? He said, sleeping pills. I said, what is it, sleeping pills? I said, well, don't they mong you out? I've had enough of them. I was in rehab. You taking sleeping pills and you're running. He goes, oh no, these are special ones. I've got one left, do you want? Down the neck it went, and I slept. On day 4, I met this couple who'd done the Sahara, and I spent 4 nights, and it was the 50 miler, and I didn't fancy doing it on my own, and so I asked them if I could run with them on the 50 miler, and they said, yeah, we need some company, just me and her, we're on edge of divorce. It would be nice to have someone else. I said, well, that'll do me, because they'd done Sahara, I thought they're going to do the 50 miler, and then that's it then, you've only got another 10k for doing next day. So next morning I'm looking round for them, and Mary Gadams, who runs Racing the Planet, she saw me out and she said, hey Billy, I heard you're going to run with Peter and Mary or something. And I said, yeah. She went, don't. And I said, why? She said, because they're not going to make it. She said, just stay on your own and do it yourself. Well, I remember going around back at this sand dune feeling totally deflated. I mean, it was, the campsite by then resembled something out of MASH. You know what I mean? The Walking Dead, you know what I mean? And I was one of them. And I knew I was going to have a real bad time. And I did, I had a real... I can't describe it, I really can't describe it, you know. I'd gone past Curring. I just wanted to make sure that I got to the checkpoint at a certain time. Everything that I've been called, everything that the doctors have said, all the teachers who called me losers, all that I carried in my backpack. And I wanted to make the checkpoint. You had to be this, and they were ruthless, by the way. 5 o'clock came, and they took the camp down, and anybody else come in, got a DNF, did not finish. Didn't matter if they were a minute late. They didn't, you know, they didn't get a medal. I made it with 10 minutes to spare. And I did the Atacama Marathon. When I came back, because I wrote all these blogs, my partner says, why don't you write a book? So I got this book together, and after I'd finished this book, I do write poems. I've got a bit of a thing about poetry. And she said, you haven't wrote a poem about the Atacama, so I thought, right. And it took me 6 weeks, so I wrote it, because I've only got minutes left, and it's called the Atacama or Atacama whichever way you want to take it. So it goes like this. The desert was long, filled with joy, pain and tears. Along with my backpack, I carried my fears. I wished it over before it had begun, and John Lennon sang, Here Comes the Sun. The desert was long, I ran on with my past. Alcohol and drug binges were coming up fast. The demons in my head came out to taunt. You useless bastard, they'd laugh and point. The desert was long, but I made it to day 3. I smiled at the memories that haunted me. The rehabs and hospitals, barely able to walk. The friends I buried, I ran on through the dark. The desert was long, my eyes took in the sights. Those mountain and sand dunes reminded me of life's plight. The poverty and violence, the belt lashed around my neck. But I was still standing, yet not holding a full deck. The day was long, those salt flats a hard slog. I remember the cobbled streets I walked as a boy wearing clogs. The fast-flowing rivers, so cold and deep, and I was a kid with no socks on my feet. The day was long, but I had to run to time. I was raised a slave, so I brought the will to mind. No surrender, said my brother Roy. I ran on as a man, but inside a boy. The desert was over, the medal won, but I was empty and drained, no light in me sun. I've been called many names and done things I ain't ought to, but I walked from alcohol and I ran the Atacama. Can I just leave you with this? There's a little verse from Kipling, and he turns around and he says, how's it go now? If you can force your heart and nerve and sinews to serve your term long after they are gone, and so hold on when there's nothing left in you except the will which says to them, hold on. Thank you.